Yes, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Dose podcast. Today we have yet another very special guest. I've been excited for this one for a while. This guy is one of the longest standing battlers in the UK scene in terms of Don't Flop as a whole. He's been around since pretty much day one, and in my opinion, is one of the most slept on ever. Adam the Rapper, what's going on, man?
Hello. What's going on? Sat in a shed.
Sat in a shed. Happy
Locked in a
days.
shed. Yeah, man. Thanks for that very nice intro. That was great.
No worries, man. I mean, it's for me personally, like I got into battle rap through Don't Flop. The first battle that I ever saw was O'Shea versus Lego. And
Great.
you were very active around that point as well. So I've been aware of, you were one of the first people that I was personally aware of. But I mean, in terms of yourself, like how did you get into battle rap from the beginning?
I got into battle rap from being in Brighton and there being a really healthy hip hop scene there, and kind of building up to like getting involved with ciphers. And having not done that, I grew up in the countryside. There were more cows that I saw on a daily basis than MCs, and so Brighton was wonderful, and I kind of had to build up to get the courage to kind of step into the cipher and take the mic at the kind of local open mic, which was Slip Jam B, and I look like I didn't necessarily fit in aesthetically, and that's completely fine. And like it's been a thing that every person that I've battled has probably really enjoyed. I can't remember quotables against me, but everyone said terribly mean things about go and wash your pants and your socks, Adam. I always look like a bit of a scuffer, so I used to have to basically battle to get the mic or just be on stage. Not because it was a particularly mean scene, but when you're in a freestyle situation, these things just happen. People drop comments, people kind of pick on things, and then kind of just to hold the space, you have to be able to respond. So it's simply from freestyling and having to hold space in the cipher is kind of how I got into battling. And then the written format came along, and that kind of changed everything.
Nice, man. Yeah, and it's like the Brighton scene. I mean, even now, I guess the hip hop scene in Brighton is still huge. I mean, High Focus, I think, are predominantly based out of Brighton and stuff, but it's always been, I mean, Brighton and Bristol have always kind of been hotspots for hip hop as a whole, right?
Yeah, I can't speak on the Bristol scene except for, obviously there's dope people that have come out of there. But Brighton was amazing, and it was really healthy and also very tight knit. And I think like a part of that was down to how close everyone was together, like geographically close. Like we were homies as well, but people were literally, you never walked longer than half an hour to like get anywhere. And I think that really, and there were also, there's so many pubs and venues that there were lots of places to perform, lots of places to cipher. There were lots of people's houses that you could get to kind of go, and someone would be set up with some decks and you'd have a rap with whoever else was around. And there's also like Audio Active has been in Brighton for ages, and that's an amazing organisation that kind of brings young people up and really gives them an experience of hip hop and access. There's kind of tutoring, there's access to studios, there's access to other MCs that are either just a part of the kind of family of the scene. And so it's really strong. It's a really supportive and also really kind of high quality training ground. There's really, really good people there. You see, the High Focus crew like knocking about. And and I think having access to them, even just seeing people around, just allows you to feel like you can do something with this thing. It has somewhere to go, and obviously having a network of people that you can do it with, it's invaluable for producing artists. So yeah, I really if it wasn't for Brighton and some of the people there, then I wouldn't have a career as an artist now. Like, that's absolutely almost definite.
Nice.
So yeah.
No, I like it. And I mean, in the early Don't Flop days, Brighton was kind of like the hub for events as well, and there was a lot of battlers come from Brighton, so it must have been a really exciting time. But I mean,
yeah, Rowan was there. Rowan, he kind of moved to Brighton. He was there studying, I think, and Freddie and their homie Z3 and DK, and they were always hanging out. And they brought this new energy. This, they were a little crew. So the Brighton crew was wide, and there were crews within it, and there were these different voices and different styles. And then kind of those four dudes like rolled up, and kind of they brought their own energy, which was kind of the Don't Flop energy, and that was a part of the Brighton scene for a while. And it was cool, man. Like, it wasn't for everyone, and that's I completely understand. Not everything is for everyone, but it was a cool thing to just be happening at that time. Brought people together as well as dividing them,
Definitely.
Strong energy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I get that. And like, it's like with yourself, I mean, I went back through and watched some of the older battles that I'd not seen for a long time, just to kind of prepare for this interview. But I mean, the oldest battle that I could find on YouTube was you versus Scissors. Was that your first Don't Flop battle, or was, because I know the Lyricist battle isn't online anymore, unfortunately. Which one actually came first for you?
Yeah, Scissors came first.
Right.
The Lyricist battle isn't online. That I have to say, I'm kind of relieved about that, because that was a really heated battle, and it was quite a nasty one. But yeah,
I can't remember it, if I'm honest. It's quite a long time ago now, obviously, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not online anymore.
That was in London. Were you at that battle, or did you just see it?
I would have just seen it online. I didn't. The first event I actually attended as a fan was in Brighton.
All right, cool.
And it was like an event that they did on Brighton Beach, and they were quite a few years in by this point.
Great, that was fun.
But unfortunately, it wasn't the best event for myself, to be honest. I lived not too far away, like kind of just outside Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And I'd literally just finished my GCSEs, so I would have been about 16. And I came over on the train, had a couple of cans and stuff on the way over, and then got to the event and kind of got a bit starstruck, because obviously I'd been watching all these people on YouTube for a couple of years by this point, and was a huge fan. And I very stupidly tried to get involved and started smoking weed with everyone, and pulled the biggest whitey in the world through the first battle, unfortunately. But yeah,
damn it.
Not the best memory for a first event. Prince Kong actually had to phone my stepdad and get him to come and pick me up. So if he ever listens to the show, I'm forever grateful. But yeah,
Kong's such a legend. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, like that doesn't sound like that much fun, but also strong memory. That's probably a better story than I went to a battle event and it was really great. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it was great, but that's probably a more formative experience than going and just watching a load of battlers perform. Sounds wicked.
Yeah, but
good work, young Lewis.
Thank you very much. But yeah, not the fondest of memories, to be well, not really any memories at all. But I mean, the first battle that I got to see of yourself, like at a venue, was yourself versus Ogmios, so the 4th birthday event.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Ogmios is a G, man. I got a lot of love for Ogmios. And that battle was a really enjoyable. That whole event was really enjoyable. I always liked battling people that I respected. I really respected Ivan, and he is an excellent human being. And he was wonderful to write for, and that event was dope. And also, we opened it up, which is wicked, because then you do your thing, and then you just get to enjoy everything without worrying. There's nothing worse than going on at the end.
Definitely.
But yeah, that was a great event, and Ogmios is a don.
Incredible event, yeah. And that was the second event that I ever went to be fair. Like, not long after the Brighton event, I moved abroad for about 6 years, so I flew back for the 4th birthday event, and yeah, it was worth it. And I mean, in terms of yourself versus Ogmios, man, like it's one of my all-time favourite, like, UK versus UK battles. Like, it's just hilarious from both of you.
Very good. Yeah, Ogmios was great because he did his research. I think he was the first person to ever really research me. I think when I battled Tony, I was really happy because Tony actually gunned me for who I was. Whereas I think there were so many battles that you do and people would just say, mom jokes and homophobic shit. And then, so it was actually such a joy when first I battled Tony, and he was like really just like taking apart just the way that I looked and the kind of the vibes that I gave off and whatever. And then Ogmios was the first person who had kind of done some research and looked into that other work that I did, and he referenced some of the poetry stuff that I do, and it was, I remember it being absolutely joyful. And I think I always wonder whether people prefer, not that it matters, a battle is what it is, but whether people prefer, or whether I prefer the battles where the tension is really palpable and difficult, and like you really feel like these two people kind of hate each other, which is amazing drama, or whether I enjoy more the ones where two people are clearly having a good time and it feels more like a collaborative,
like a team effort. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know which one I like more, but certainly to be in, I loved that one. Ogmios is a G. He's been putting out, I don't know if anyone follows him on Instagram, but he's doing some dash cam videos which are really really doesn't sound very exciting, but it's very Ogmios and very cool.
Yeah, I think I saw something the other day where he's behind a van waiting for a van to pull out, and he's like, maybe I'll just give it one beep. And he's very funny. But yeah, man, I love the Ogmios battle, and like, I think personally, like the UK is one of the most kind of receptive crowds for battle rap, in the sense that, for example, with that event, you versus Ogmios went down really well, as did Shotty Arsenal, obviously, which was kind of a completely different energy in the room. And I think,
yeah, it was great.
You look at overseas events, and they're kind of, most battles are on a similar narrative. They're either fun battles or they're kind of aggressive battles. Whereas with us, we're over here, we can have a mixture, and it's going to get the same amount of attention. So, yeah, that's one of the things that I love the most about the UK scene. But, I mean, you and Ogmios, if I remember rightly, you opened up that whole event. Is that right? Or was it day 2?
Yeah. No, yeah, we opened it, yeah.
Yeah, and it was... So, I mean, realistically, that is the first battle that I ever saw live, because I have no memory of the Brighton event. So
The other one. Hey, that's nice. That's a nice memory. And it was a nice one as well. Me and Ivan were having a nice time. That was good.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a huge fan of both of you, so it was amazing to see. But, I mean, in terms of the battles that you have done yourself, like, you've done... I mean, it's roughly around 15 battles in terms of the written era. Is that correct?
Oh mate, I've actually I've never done a count up. I don't know if it'd be quite that many, but it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely double figures.
Nice. And what would you
Or
say is like your personal favourite battle that you've been a part of?
my personal favorite battle that I've been a part of is probably that one. I know we've already talked about it, but it was just like I used to do battles because obviously I enjoyed the format. I enjoyed watching it. I liked doing it. And it was also a part of the culture. And I was doing a lot of gigs at the time on the spoken word circuit and a few rap gigs as well. And I was gigging that much that I kind of stopped being afraid of anything. Like I stopped getting nervous. And gigs were still fun, but I missed feeling nervousness, and I missed there being something at risk. And I hadn't worked out how to kind of like. Now I know that that's a part of my practice. If it doesn't feel risky, then I'm probably not. Probably something's not right. But at that time, I didn't know how to switch up what I was doing, so I just started. I was doing battles kind of quite regularly because I enjoyed that sense of. I enjoyed the adrenaline. Lots of people will say that, I'm sure, but the nervousness of it was a part of why I did it, and I think that particular battle was just the right amount of enjoyment and nerves, and also it was a big crowd. So there's like it's like a lovely payoff to perform to a big crowd and for it to be so well received. And like Getz was there, like one of my heroes. Do you know what I mean? Was watching that battle, and so that's a whole other thing as well that was happening around that time. And yeah, so it's probably the Ogmios one, but different ones stand out for different reasons. And like any kind of piece of art, you when you watch it back or you think back to it, you kind of remember the time of your life. And I know Tony D's a battle that I'm quite proud of, and Tony was just amazing in it. But that was quite a sad time in my life, and so I look back on that and I'm actually like, wow, I'm glad that actually even managed to happen. I could kind of like do that, and then I could think of other battles which were just kind of maybe easier, or I don't know. Ogmios was just all the variables that make them enjoyable kind of came together to make a perfect storm for me, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I mean, you've had a very decent kind of resume as such as well. Like the people that you've stepped up against have been incredible. Like obviously, like you said, Ogmios, Tony D. Tony D, I mean, kind of had his breakout performance against you as well. Like that battle again is incredible on both sides. And Most Prob was another amazing performance from yourself, and Double L too. So you've stepped up against some amazing battlers. But have you got like a least favorite battle of yours? Is there any that you wouldn't personally want to watch back?
Yeah, there is. I did a festival battle, and so think about the time of that happening, and it was the Saturday, or maybe it was on the Friday of the festival, and so I got there on a Thursday, and I just really knew that I needed to sleep, and I knew my bars were good, and I knew it was going to be absolutely sweet, but I needed to sleep because I think it was Boomtown, and it gets it's a pretty Larry festival in all the good ways. So I had some aids sleeping, some yeah. I basically took something to help me sleep. And then the next day, I was crazy groggy. And then the battles were being like nudged around, like left, right, like for hours, basically. I was waiting to battle. And then I came to battle, and just half a round just kind of exited my brain. And I didn't choke, but I freestyled. And you know, when you freestyle, you never know what's going to come. There's two, you know, you never know what's going to come out. And what came out, I was like, no, I'm not really. But yeah, I didn't stand behind what I said. It wasn't even that it was bad, but I said something and I was like, why did that come out of my brain? And I still won the battle, and it was still like every other bit of it was a good performance, but there was just one bit of it where I was like, I couldn't stand behind it. Do you know what I mean? Even if people choke, there's a real, you know, and I've choked and recovered, but you know that you're trying, and I don't know. Yeah, you don't say something that you regret. I think I said something. Said something in that freestyle that I regretted, and it was like, that's horrible. That's a horrible feeling. But that is the nature of freestyle, and you know, I should have known better. Should have known to take a breath and to not just have dived in to freestyling. But you know, that's one of the things that you learn. That never happened again. And yeah, battling is a really, however much you do it, I think it's a very intense emotional and mental space. And when you're in those intense spaces, you know, you can do things that you wouldn't normally do, or say things you wouldn't normally do. And that was one of the ones I was like, no, I wasn't happy with what I did then. So it's kind of, I don't know. Yeah. So that's the one, basically.
Fair enough, man. No, I can understand that. But I mean, battling at a festival when you've been at the festival for a few days as well, it can't be easy, to be fair. So I can appreciate
I don't know
that.
how people do that. I have artist friends who just cane it and then just gigging the whole time. I'm like, man, I can't party properly until like the work is done. So yeah.
I think I'd be similar,
Anyway.
to be fair. But yeah, no, I can understand that, man. But I mean, you've not stepped in the ring now for a while. Like your last battle was 2015, I want to say.
Days, it probably was. Yeah, Double L.
Yeah, it's mad, really. But like, is there any interest for you to ever to step back in at all?
It's a good question. I love the form. I think it's cool. Like I said, I enjoyed doing it for the reasons that I stated before. You know what I got from it. I stopped doing it because you put a lot of work into a battle. There's a lot of work that goes into it,
Sure.
and you can't really write anything else. Or I can't speak for everyone. I can't really write anything else when I'm preparing for a battle. So for 3 weeks, that's all I'm doing. And and then you do it one time, and then you don't do it again. Those you will never utter those bars again. And like I've had commissions like for performances where like, yeah, I've written solidly for 2 weeks and then I've performed it and then I haven't performed it again. But I could go back and I could develop that work. I can take that work and I can put it somewhere else. Like the work still exists. And for me, battling became not a dead end, but it's almost like a firework. It goes up and up and up and up. The tension increases, and then you get let off. You're in the sky and you go, and hopefully your firework isn't a dud. Do you know what I mean? And it makes a big, beautiful explosion, which is the battle. But then you can't use the firework again. The firework's expired, and so all that work is kind of like it's gone then. And I think I'm less interested as a writer in creating work that kind of only exists for me that one time. But that's not to say I would never do another one. I think one thing that they are great for is, it's content. Like as an artist, if you're putting out projects, you want to create content, and I'd be prepared to talk to someone about doing another one if I had a project coming out that I thought was kind of worth promoting on a battle platform. But yeah, as a writer, it's not something that I can even afford really to pour my energy into.
Okay.
But I really rate how you know, I'm not taking anything away from the people that do it. It's dope. But yeah, for me, recently I actually wrote a play based in the world of battle rap, and I probably shouldn't talk about it really much because it's under production. But that was amazing to use the skills that I developed in that scene and place them somewhere where they might live, kind of, you know, again and again and again. So that was exciting. But yeah, currently no immediate plans to jump back in.
I can appreciate that, and I mean the play sounds fantastic. I'd love to see that once that's kind of available. But yeah, definitely keep me up to date on the work there. But I can appreciate you. You know, it's not like you said. It's for me, it's one of the most difficult art forms in the sense of you put all this energy into writing, rehearsing, and then all to just kind of perform it once, and you only get one shot at it. So I can appreciate that it's a very long-winded process. But I mean, the double
That's
out
also the
battle
reason why it's dope, isn't it? That is also the reason why it's sick, is that it can only happen once. So I do appreciate the reason I'm not doing it is also one of the reasons why it's awesome. So
no, but it makes sense when you've got a lot of other projects going on and stuff as well. But like, I mean, with the double out battle, your album at the time was quite heavily promoted along with the video, like the Adam and Cuff Formwork album. Have
yeah.
you have you released much music since then? Because if I'm honest, I think that's the last project music wise that I've heard from you.
Oh well, me and Cuff dropped an album. Was it last year? Called Actual Cake. So we dropped another album, a follow up to Formwork. So that's on Spotify, and you can find videos on YouTube and all that goodness. And yeah, really proud of that album, Actual Cake. I think me and Cuff really leveled up, and yeah, I listen to it, and you know, I don't often listen to. I mean, I rarely listen to my own work anyway, but that's one that I come back to, and I'm always like, yeah, we smashed that. So that's out, and I can't remember if the Adam and Bones project came out before or after Formwork. I think probably just before it. But I did a project with Bones from Rum Committee. That's called Don't Move. That's on the internet somewhere. And what else happened? Oh, yeah, I did a collaboration with a producer called Fee, called Do You Fruit. And that was a resident advisor kind of staff pick, actually. That was kind of more dubby, kind of 140 tempos. So that's out in the world. You can get that on SoundCloud, Do You Fruit. Like D-O-U, as in like a question. Do you fruit?
Okay.
I don't know why we called it that, but that's out in the world. And there's also something which I finished a couple of years ago, but that will be coming out in the next few weeks.
Oh, nice. That'll be good to
Yeah.
hear. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna check the new stuff out as well. I think so. Formwork was definitely the last project I heard from you, but I really enjoyed
Yeah,
it, man.
check out Actual Cake. I'm glad you enjoyed Formwork. Thanks, man. Yeah, me and Cuff we work hard on those things. So
Definitely.
yeah, check out
Yeah.
Actual Cake.
Yeah, I'll check that out, man. Definitely looking forward to that. But like for yourself, in terms of the events that you've been to as a whole, battle rap wise, like what would you say is the best battle that you've seen live personally?
Ooh, good question. Best battle I've seen live. Shotty Arsenal was like amazing.
Yeah.
Like that was when I understood the levels that you could take this form to. Like you could take it to such theatrical levels. That's like fully amazing. And then other than that, oh man, there was also Shuffle T and Marlowe versus Scissors and Wizard in
Oh
Brighton.
yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
that was fantastic. because I mean, Sizz and Wizard just did their thing, and they did their thing really well. But Shuffle T and Marlowe also, boundary pushers. They're really pushing what can be done, or they were really pushing what could be done in the format, and that's always thrilling. And then it it's kind of like you're watching rap, but you're also watching like the avant-garde. Do you know what I mean? You're like, this is not something I've ever imagined happening. And those two were they were a great thing for the scene, because they really gave it a big push, a big old push. And so that was a really thrilling battle. And other than that, I think when English battled Kruger, that was super dope, because they were both my friends, and they were both excellent. That was a very good and loose day. Ended up in the Wetherspoons in Brixton, having a very fun time. So nice. Probably one of those two. I think it's amazing watching your friends go at it, because it's really, you know they're homies, so you can just kind of, I don't know. Well, it's just great to see your friends perform, isn't it? So I think one of them two.
Nice, man. Yeah, they're all great battles as well, so I agree with that. And I mean, Shuffle Wizard has not come up yet either, and neither's Kruger English, so it's always good to get some new answers. But I mean,
and I'm old school, man, so I'm sure there's loads of incredible battles that I haven't seen and certainly didn't see live. But
no, that's fair enough.
I really enjoyed them.
Definitely, and the Wizard and Scissors versus Shufflo battle, like that third round from Shufflo, is one of the most well-rehearsed things I think I've ever seen in battle rap, where even like their kind of hand gestures and their movements are synced together and stuff. It was incredible.
That would be impressive anywhere, like that would be impressive. And you'd go to the National Theatre and you could watch that and you'd be like, well, that was impressive. And people would be saying the same thing. I think there's like, people sometimes have different standards for rap for whatever reason, whether they expect less or they just understand that there are conventions which exist kind of solely in that world, which I don't agree with that, but it does exist. But that particular round, like, completely blows apart any of those conventions. You could see that anywhere, and it's like, wow, it's incredible. So
definitely, man. Yeah, it's a great battle, but like with you, I know it's hard to kind of answer this because you've not overly interested in ever stepping back into battle rap for now. But if we say like back when you were very active, like, was there any battles that you wish you'd done, like, and any opponents that you really wanted at the time?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know Mark Grist was kind of thrown about there quite a lot.
Yeah, so Mark Grist would have been an interesting one because we both were operating in the poetry world at the time. So that would have been interesting. I didn't particularly want to battle him. I think, I don't know why. I feel like maybe he was operating in a realm that was slightly different to me, because like I did definitely consider myself an MC and do consider myself an MC. Like, I cut my performance teeth in rap music. It may not be the main part of my creative practice anymore, but it's still a foundational one, and it's still, I can still go to a cypher and have a really good time and hold my own with some incredible artists. So, and I think I was maybe carrying a little bit of, or it's, I wasn't a purist, but I also really respected the craft of rapping, and rhyming wasn't the same as rapping. So maybe I was kind of like, I didn't want to, place myself in a space where I think maybe I would feel like I had slightly different values to my opponent, and therefore could be at a disadvantage. Which is I've never vocalized this. I'm trying to get my head around the thinking as to why wouldn't I wanted to have battled Mark, because I really respected him and he was doing great things and, you know, getting big numbers as well at the time in regards to views. But I think do you know what? I think I would have loved to battle Enlish on the in a written format, because we battled so many times freestyling in Brighton, and he was a wonderful punchline rapper. Like, I think he must have just rapped in the mirror, just punchlines forever. You know, he was never short of one, never short of a punchline. So I feel like he'd cussed me out so many times in a freestyle format. I would have loved to have taken that kind of friendly rivalry and placed it in a kind of in the Don't Flop written kind of format. And then, yeah, I don't know. In regards to people who were, I can't think of. I mean, everyone would have loved to battle O'Shea, wouldn't they? Because O'Shea was just always high quality and always very funny. And yeah, so that would have been great. But he was top tiering when I was doing my thing. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
Nice.
English or O'Shea.
Yeah, I like that, man. And yeah, two great choices. And I mean, if you don't consider O'Shea the GOAT in UK terms, you're wrong, in my opinion. Like, he's been there since pretty much day one, and he's still kind of consistently doing it to this day. So if he's not at least in your top three, then you're wrong, in my opinion. But yeah, it would have been great to have seen that. I'm not sure if you caught this, but last year, so I think it was like some of the Ian Daniels guys and Bagnall and people like that put together an event called For Pete's Sake, which was a charity event.
Yeah, man.
And
I would have battled for that.
Yeah, that'd be great to see.
Like that good cause battling. That would have been really good, and that was really sad. I didn't know Pete particularly. I only knew him to say hello to, but that was a really sad thing. And big up those guys for putting together that event. It was wicked.
Definitely, yeah, man. And I know they're planning to make it an annual event. They were going to do one in September, I believe, but that may be pushed back due to the current pandemic. But I mean, Enlish actually returned against Scissors and did like if I remember rightly, it was like a gun bar themed battle.
Sounds right. Sounds correct.
It was. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch, man, because it gave you like a proper old school Don't Flop feel to that event, and it was amazing to see. Obviously, Enlish hasn't been around for a while, so it was great to see him back. But
I want to go back to the O'Shea thing you were saying, because I think it ties in with one of the first things you said in regards to like British battle rap audiences, and like whether or not you enjoy O'Shea's style or whether you rate it, it is incredibly distinct, and it has been kind of imitated a bit, but no one can do it. And he was the first person to do what he does, and he did it really well, and he did it against everyone. And that was at a time when there were so many different voices and characters, and Don't Flop kind of felt a bit like WWF, like everyone had their own thing going on. And it's really natural that when a scene gets bigger, that the style becomes slightly more uniform. And that's not a bad thing, and that's not taking away from like incredible writers. But I think O'Shea deserves that top spot that you were talking about, whether or not you like him, because he was one of the biggest and most consistent of those voices, and also enduring of those voices. And no one can sound like him now, and no one can do what he does. And that's why I completely agree with you. And I think on an objective level, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, agreed, man. He's Definitely the
And then
guy over here anyway. But like
over here, oh yeah, yeah, in the UK, word, yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty crazy, really. Like I've spoken to quite a few battlers from kind of all over the world now, and like I never really thought that the UK scene was appreciated overseas as much as it actually is. But like you hear some of the biggest names mention O'Shea, man, like people that you wouldn't expect as well. Like, are you aware of Big K?
Yeah,
Yeah, so Big K, who's one of the most watched in the world right now, has
yeah.
openly admitted that O'Shea's one of his favourites, which I never
Great,
expected to hear. But
great. He's not got an O'Shea. Do you know what I mean? You can enjoy O'Shea without becoming him. Do you know what? Also, I was having a conversation with my poet friend before I was talking to you today, and we were talking about how if you study the foundations of something, you can, you can be influenced by it in the same way that someone else was, but it will come out through your voice. Whereas if you study contemporary voices, it's very easy to be influenced by contemporary voices. Now, obviously, I was talking about poetry. We were talking about scripts from like 1913 or whatever. Whereas obviously, battle rap's much, much newer. But O'Shea is one of those kind of old voices, one of those foundational voices, and also no one can do what he did. So you could just watch O'Shea forever, and his style can't creep into your style, but then maybe you will maybe take things from it. Whereas if I was watching Shocks all day, I'm sure I would end up writing like Shocks. Do you know what I mean? Like, because also, yeah, I mean, that's a contemporary voice. Whereas, yeah, yeah. So those old school ones, I'm not surprised, and I'm also very encouraged to hear. And there was like a weird parallel there, but yeah.
definitely, yeah, man, I completely agree. But like, is there? Do you still follow battle rap a lot? Then do you watch battle rap, or is it not something that you're that up to date with?
I'm not super up to date. I'll go through phases. I think like when the Don't Flop scandal happened, that kind of disenchanted me a little bit. I wasn't like watching it all the time or anything, but that was a really whack thing to see happening to people that you know and that you really appreciate the work that they do. Not taking sides, talking about all of it. But it was, yeah, so that was whack. And so yeah, yeah, even just kind of politically, do you know what I mean? Like in regards to, so if an MC is just consistently misogynistic, I'm probably not going to listen to them. And in the same way that if I'm absolutely positive that a brand is like shafting its workers, and I won't go down a wormhole with that, then I'm probably not going to buy from that brand. So when that Don't Flop thing happened, I was kind of like, raw, whatever's happening here, it's not cool. And I think that kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't, that kind of, yeah, it soured it a bit for me. And I know that there's other leagues popping off doing their thing, but the Premier guys seem like they were doing a pretty good job. And I'd totally be watching, because aren't they setting something up at the moment?
Yeah, so they've got a lot going on behind the scene. Obviously, they've had some setbacks as well, but it's they've had some huge events. I mean, they do like a yearly all-star game where the best UK battlers will battle the best overseas battlers, kind of thing. And
Sick. So yeah, I totally watched that. That sounds amazing.
yeah,
Big
they
up.
they did an event in London at the Steel Yard in December, which I think every battle is on YouTube now, and it's worth checking. I mean, Shotty Horror returned and battled John the Don.
So yeah,
Um,
sick. I totally watched that. That's going to be some high quality shit, isn't it?
Yeah, shot. He was fantastic, and I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of a guy over here called Maverick. He's kind of come up over the last few years. He's started on Dub Scandal and has kind of worked his way up, whilst being no
Maverick.
showed pretty much 5 times a year, unfortunately. But
Why?
yeah,
Who's no showing on him? Is it because he's battling new faces or because he's so terrifying?
so he his kind of first big look was meant to be battling Josiah Matrix. Um, he no showed twice. Then he got booked to battle Shocks, and Shocks had something come up and couldn't make it on the day. He's yeah, I couldn't tell you who the others were off the top of my head, but he's been no showed a lot for his big opportunities. But Premier Battles put him up against a guy from America called Real
Brutal, man.
Sick.
I have to say, right?
Um, so
Don't.
it's spelt Real Sikh because he is a Sikh.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Boom. All right. Yeah, that's cool. Great.
Yeah, and it is one of the best battles on UK soil for a very long time. So
All right, I'll check that out. Maverick versus Real Seek.
definitely, yeah, man. But yeah,
Mate, have
some
you
great
no
battles.
showdown? That's it. If I was no showdown, I was no showdown once by Lyricist actually. And it was like it's like so impossibly frustrating. It's the what like if I'd been no showdown 5 times, like I would have given up and never. I don't think I would have ever battled again.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, man. I mean, I've literally just done my first battle myself, and I've before that I've been no showed 5 times for my tryout. So I
No,
gave up
oh
on.
yeah,
Oh
try out.
mate, it was well. I mean, kind of no showed anyway. I've been no showed on the day once, and then the others have kind of been. I had an event cancelled on me twice, like a couple of days before the event, and then I had another one where I I got contacted by Don't Flop to do a tryout, booked the
Yeah, that's
tryout,
cool.
wrote 3 rounds, and then 3 days before the event got contacted to say that they'd forgotten to ask the guy that I was meant to be battling if he still wanted to do it, which was probably the worst of the bunch, to be honest. But yeah, so Premier
What?
Battles now do what's called the Academy, where they get a group of entrants who are either tryouts or have only done, like, say, up to 5 battles or something,
Yeah.
and they they can have unlimited entries, but they pick the best 14 of those entries, and then
Okay.
choose a. They split them across 2 teams, and each team chooses like a wild card each as well. So somebody that, like this year, it's been someone from the previous 2 academies to bring back into it again.
Sick. That's dope.
Yeah, so yeah, I've just got into that, and so I'll be doing my first live battle in the next few months, I guess, whenever the pandemic's over. But finally able to actually get started. But I mean, after the whole no show thing, I just gave up on the idea for about 2 years. But now that the academy started, it seems like in the 2 years they've been doing it, I think they've only ever had one no show. So it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to actually get started and guarantee that my battles were going to go ahead.
Yeah, man. Good. Great. Because I am like gobsmacked that that you would go through all the work of creating that like 3 rounds and then for that to for that to have never been confirmed. Like there is something, and it's the same in all grassroots scenes. You know, there isn't any organizational bodies making sure that people are doing things to a certain professional standard or whatever. And, you know, that's a part of what makes it great. It's grassroots. It's people doing it because they love it. It's people doing it for themselves and for anyone else that loves it. Sick. But there has to be a level of professionalism, and like, because you're asking people to work for you, like your creative work is going into these things, and like you never get paid. Well, I never got paid to do a battle. I know some people do now, and that's fine. You do it because you want to do it. But if either your opponent comes with professionalism, which is lacking, and doesn't turn up or doesn't prepare or whatever, that sucks so hard. It is a collaboration. Even if you hate each other, just simply the trust that you are going to put the work and that they are going to put the work in is collaborative. So yeah, I think that's another thing, and it is a shame that, you know, that it's not really a sustainable. It's not often sustainable because of because you don't get paid for that work, and it is a lot of work. And if you don't have the time to do that, then, you know, you generally don't get reimbursed. But that's just, you know, art generally. You end up putting in a lot of work for free, and you have to do it because you love it.
Definitely. Yeah,
sorry to hear you've been no showed on so many times, man. That sucks. And big ups for, you know, staying with it and then getting on this academy thing. It sounds super cool, and it also sounds like Premier are approaching this thing with like a level of professionalism which is really like refreshing. That sounds really, really cool.
They are, yeah, they definitely are. And I mean, Shotty, Horror, Briggsy, and Bloodstrow are essentially like the three main heads involved in Premier battles. So they've kind of been around the block and just noticed how to approach it professionally, I guess. And they've had some very difficult setbacks along the way. Like, I don't know if you heard, they had an event last year called Apex, where so they booked 5 overseas guys to come over, and it was going to be like a mega event. Like, they've booked Tay Rock, New Jersey Twerk, JC, Chef Trez, and Real Deal. So like 5 huge names at the time.
Yeah.
People that obviously 4 of which are, you know, top tier URL names that demand thousands of dollars for a battle.
Yeah.
And I think about
they lost the deposit, didn't they? Is that what happened? Did they lose their deposit?
They did, yeah. Yeah, so about a month out, all 4 of the URL guys just stopped replying to messages and eventually obviously no-showed the event. But they kind of pulled it back last minute. So Chilla Jones agreed to come over and battle like an up-and-comer for free. They put like Red Flag, Mad Flex, and A-Ward to come over, who all came over and smashed it. And the event ended up being very successful, but they were obviously still at a loss due to the amount of money that they'd lost out on. So like, for me, I just got a lot of respect for them for the fact that they're still doing it, having lost so much money. And I think if it was me at that point, I would have just washed my hands with the scene and walked away, to be honest.
Well, that fucking sucks, man. They got scammed. That's super shit. And you know, I guess that those guys that scammed them don't really have an interest in. I mean, I don't know. Are they still battling now? I can't imagine that taking a deposit and no showing is going to be particularly good for your kind of longevity in a scene that is relatively grassroots.
I mean,
but
in terms of battle rap now, I mean, if all four of those guys are big names on URL, you can kind of you can do whatever you want to other leagues. URL don't care as long as you're turning up to their events, which obviously they are. Then they're going to be fine, unfortunately. But
That shit. Anyway, well, those guys suck. I'm really impressed that those guys, look, Briggsy and Shotty and Bloodstore are still plugging away, and hopefully they can make that dough back and carry on doing cool stuff. Obviously, sounds like they're kind of like back afloat if they're doing what they're doing, and that's rad. And that's that's because they obviously love it, and it's not just a business venture, and it's not. I mean, it might not even be a business venture. I'm sure the margins are pretty small, but yeah, that's awesome.
definitely,
Big
yeah,
V3.
man, it's been fun to watch in that sense, anyway, and big up those guys for what they're doing. But I mean, Don't Flop, they're slowly getting back to a big platform again.
Yeah, man, they're putting the work in. It's dope. It's dope to see.
They're rebuilding quite well. They're bringing a lot of new talent through, and they're kind of going to places that don't normally get battle rap events as well. They're doing, a lot of events in Brighton again, which hasn't had events for a long time. Bristol, Cardiff, which is where I'm based. They've done a few events here now. I think they've been to places like Portsmouth and Leicester and places like that quite a lot. So they're definitely trying to rebuild a new fan base again as well, which is good to see.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. There's space for more than one league, and like it's cool. Like I saw watch Press One and Press One, and was it Lefty? Press One and
Yes,
Lefty. That
yeah,
on beat battle. That was there was a bit of it was a bit scandalous because of the timings. But that was still dope to see. Good to see that they're doing things other than just the standard kind of free written rounds. Um, as a business person, and he will. I have every faith that he'll rebuild it, and it will be cool. So yeah.
definitely. Yeah, man,
Is it
it's good to see.
Daniel Pandolfi? Didn't he win the he won the title, didn't he, against Unanimous?
Yes, yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, great battle as well. He was phenomenal in that. I think that'll be dropping on YouTube soon. But I mean,
I'll
that
definitely be
Bristol
watching.
event, man. Like, I live in Cardiff, so not far away from Bristol at all. It's about 40 minutes or so on the train, and
Yeah.
I bought my ticket for that event. I think the event was towards the end of February, and I bought my ticket when they got released in, it was like November or December time. And that ticket cost me £1. And for £1, I got to see Press One Lefty, Crafty Yunnan, Zayn Azrai was on the card.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Crazy,
reckon I
isn't
would
it?
have quite liked to have battled him back in the day because he was just such a disgusting misogynist.
Oh, definitely. And
Is he
you'll
still
be,
doing that?
yeah,
Is
you'll
he
be
still
delighted
in
to
the
hear that
mix?
he's not changed in the slightest either. But
Terrible. But, fair enough, whatever. Well, no, not fair enough. It's gross. He's peddling awfulness. But, fair play that he's still doing his thing.
yeah, he's been a bit hit and miss over the last few years, but his battle in Bristol at that event was very entertaining. To be fair to him, we got old school Zayn. He turned up in a suit and tie and stuff. So yeah, he's still doing his thing. But I mean, apart from that, man, that is pretty much all the battle rap stuff done and dusted. But I've been finishing the show with a few music-based questions and then 3 very random questions to finish up on. But
Yeah, great. Hit me.
this one is really difficult and quite subjective, I guess. But if you had to pick your top 3 all-time albums off the top of your head, what would you go with?
Ooh. Damn. I off the top of the head. One's going to be Task Force. It's going to be MFTC Volume 2, I think, which breaks my heart because my all-time favourite songs are on Volume 1, but Volume 2 is the most consistent, and that's a life changer. That one changed my life right there. We talking hip-hop albums, or can I go anywhere?
You can go any genre.
All right. Rhythm of the Saints, Paul Simon.
Nice.
That is that's an absolute joy fest. And then next one is gonna be, oh, it's hard. It is hard. I've just got the Deftones rattling around my brain. I might have to say Around Fur by the Deftones.
Okay, nice man. Yeah, they're 3 albums that haven't come up before, and I'm a giant Task Force fan too, so I like those answers. But in terms of gigs or shows that you've attended, who would you say is the best live act that you've come across?
The best live act I've come across. Do you know what? The most recent thing that I've seen that was the best thing I've come across, I don't even know the name of. It's terrible, isn't it? They were a female-fronted punk band who were supporting Leftover Crack. And I went to see them in somewhere upon Thames, like Richmond upon Thames or somewhere. It was like a weird place for them to play. And there was this band who were not on the poster. And they were the main support, and it must have been like a kind of a last minute. They came over with Leftover Crack, and they were absolutely phenomenal. Nice. Complete chaos live. It was great. Absolutely, what they ended with, the front woman kind of giving her guitar to a member of the audience and climbing onto a man's shoulders, very low ceiling venue, and just kind of finishing the song on this incredibly quite tall drunk man's back. And yeah, I like that chaos, man. I like that chaos in shows. So I don't even know the name of that band, but it was properly wonderful. And yeah, I go to metal shows. I find metal music live is the most kind of visceral and impactful live music, much more than hip hop. Unfortunately, I find hip hop shows very rarely bring what I'm looking for. Although I did see Run the Jewels, who are supported by Young Fathers, and that was absolutely amazing. That was maybe 4 years ago. Before Young Fathers won the Mercury Prize, and that was absolutely lit. Young Fathers were an incredible live band, really, really good. And then Run the Jewels came on afterwards, and they just did what Run the Jewels do, which is absolutely smash the crap out of a hip hop show. So yeah, there we go. A couple of them to see there.
I agree with quite a lot you've said there. To be honest, I've also seen Run the Jewels and think they're one of my favourite ever live performances, to be honest. And I agree with you in terms of metal gigs. Generally speaking, I very rarely sit at home and listen to metal music, but in terms of the atmosphere at gigs and stuff, I definitely agree there. It's it
comes live.
Definitely. Yeah, I got to go and see. So the first metal gig I ever attended really was I got to see Disturbed when I lived in Germany, and seeing Disturbed play, they've got a track called 10,000 Fists in the Air, right. And getting to see them perform that with a crowd I'd probably say was about 5,000 or so it was absolutely phenomenal, to be fair. So they'd make it into my top list too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
While
was
we were talking
amazing.
about that, I think I've got to replace one of my albums. I think I've got to replace Around the Fur by the Deftones by Fantastic Damage. I don't know why LP wasn't in my brain. I think it's because I didn't own Fantastic Damage. I had it on a player. I downloaded it. I didn't own a hard copy, so I didn't think of it. But I think Fantastic Damage by LP is probably, it takes the place of Around the Fur by the Deftones because it kind of does a similar thing aesthetically and emotionally. And I think, yeah, that is something that I come back to more probably than Around the Fur. But yeah, we just started talking about LP, and I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, genius album. To be fair, I'm with you there. But the final one is like, is there any kind of lesser known musicians that myself or the listeners might not be aware of that you're a big fan of at the moment?
Ooh, good question. I mean, Manga Saint Hilaire is like my all-time favorite at the moment. Who,
Okay, nice. Yeah, he's just done a new
Manga?
album.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I love him so much because I like quite a lot of grime music. And Capo Lee is actually my favorite MC, really unique style. But Manga is is my favorite one because he makes amazing albums. Like Outbursts on the Outskirts and Make It Out Alive. There was another one in the middle, but I didn't enjoy it quite so much. But those two albums, Make It Out Alive, the most recent one, and Outbursts from the Outskirts, I think are they're like, I love bodies of work that are cohesive, that hang together, that are kind of thematically sound, and he does that, and he does that wonderfully. And he's also making hard music that is just aware. It's aware of itself. It's aware of the impact that it has on the world. It's aware of the platform that it has. And yeah, Manga Saint Hilaire is the absolute don. But he's quite big. So if you want someone that people might know less of, then I would say Disraeli. He is a wonderful artist who actually is an MC from Bristol, never did the battle thing, but also a very positive force for the world who makes really wonderfully crafted albums. And you should go check out Disraeli and the Small Gods and his more recent work as well, which is, I think, just under Disraeli. But yeah, he's sick. So yeah, there's two really positive and excellent album makers there, Manga Saint Hilaire and Disraeli.
Yeah, yeah, very good choices, man. I like that a lot. And yeah, I can't remember the name of one of Disraeli's projects off the top of my head that I really liked, but he's, yeah, incredible. So I definitely agree with both of those, to be fair. But the final three questions, they are very random, but are you
Great.
are you much of a sports fan, and do you have a favourite sports team?
I don't have a favorite sports team, but I do you know what? I watch skate videos all the time. I used to skate when I was younger. I watch a lot of skate videos. That's the closest I come. But I used to love basketball. I used to play basketball. I used to get up like at 5 a.m. to watch Chance World Sport so I could watch the basketball. So basketball's probably my favorite sport.
Nice, man. Yeah, yeah. I'm 6'6", so I'm pretty good at basketball myself, to be fair. But
Do you play?
not anymore. I want to get back into it. I stopped probably about 5 years ago now, but I played for most of my life, and unfortunately, I've got a bit out of weight since the last time I played. But I'm definitely want to get back into it at some point soon. But
Yeah, I loved it. I'm 5'7", so I was never really particularly good at it. But I was a plucky upstart. I did my best for a shorty.
nice, man. I like it. But if you could pick anywhere in the world for your next holiday or your next trip abroad, where would be top of your list of where you want to go?
Where'd be top of my list? Um, maybe Colombia, because South America is lit, and I've been to Mexico a couple of times, and Colombia just looks like the most beautiful place. And also, do you know what? You can go to, there are crazy, like intensive Spanish schools that lots of people go to and then work in South America. And that'd be lit. But otherwise, to be honest, I think I'm reaching, because my partner's always having a go at me for never wanting to leave the country. I just love going on holiday in the UK. So I'd probably go to Cornwall. go yeah, I don't know. I'm in no way patriotic or nationalistic or anything, but I think I just like the British countryside really tickles me. I just really enjoy it. So yeah, I'd probably go Cornwall.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, but I'm the absolute opposite on that front. I'll get out of the UK at any opportunity, to be honest with you. But no, that's fair enough. And I definitely agree with Colombia. I'd love to go over there too. But like, where would you say is the best place that you've been so far in terms of holidays? And we'll say you can't say Cornwall.
What where have I been in the world?
Yeah.
Ooh, shit, man. You know what? I think probably Mexico. Like I hadn't been on holiday. Like I've been a professional artist for like nearly 10 years, and so I haven't been making loads and loads of P's. It's only kind of in the past few years that I've been able to that I've got that income tax swag, to quote Danny Brown. So I didn't go on holiday for like nearly 10 years, and then I was doing this project and I had to get funding to do it because I had to pay loads of other people. And I didn't know whether I was going to get the funding. So I had to work out how I was going to make this project happen without the funding, because it had to happen. And so I worked I did a load of maths, and I just said yes to every single gig, every single teaching thing, every bit of youth work, whether it was £10, £50, £100, whatever, saying yes to everything. And I worked for 4 months all over summer to make sure I had enough money saved to make this project happen. And then I got the funding. So then I had like a few grand, which I'd just been saving. And I was like, fucking yes, I'm going on holiday. And I just booked a ticket the day after I got the funding. I was like, right, where am I going on holiday? So I think it was amazing, A, because I hadn't been on holiday for nearly 10 years, B, because I've worked my total ass off to get there, and C, because Mexico is the most beautiful country. The colors and the culture are so next. There's something about the light there. It literally changes the colors of things. It's like your vision changes. And there's this incredible mixture of native culture and Christianity. So there's shrines everywhere. And a lot of the time those shrines, which are shrines to the Virgin Mary, but they're in places of natural beauty. They're appreciating the land. So there's this incredible, the native culture and the culture of the land is so rich. And then on top of that, you've got Christianity, and it's such a interesting and unique space. Christianity was awful to the native culture when it rolled through, but yeah, I fucking loved Mexico. It was incredible. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, it's a good answer, man, and yeah, sounds like a well-needed trip in that sense as well. So
it was, yeah, it was.
Yeah, nice, man. But the final question, and this one, it's brought up some terrible answers, if I'm honest, so far. But you can pick one sweet and one savoury, but what are the go-to munches in your opinion?
One sweet, one savoury. Okay. Mate, I've just got to go with what's in my brain. The sweet is a tablespoon of peanut butter and Nutella. Disgusting. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. As in, so you scoop up the peanut butter out of one jar, and then you scoop from the Nutella as well on the same spoon, and then you just put it in your gob, and that's that. So that's a thing. So that's the sweet. The savoury would be, and so it's just a snack, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just got to be a pork pie, innit? Such a chubster. That's me. Pork pie.
I gotta say, I'm not a fan of either answer, man. They're definitely not the worst I've had, but yeah.
What was the worst?
Jolly J said Marmite Twiglets. Not a fan of that whatsoever.
I rate them.
Oh,
Great.
they're disgusting. They are the worst thing that I've ever had, I think. Like, no way. But yeah,
I don't like them. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Pork pies, nah, I don't know. I don't like the jelly in them. It puts me off.
No one likes the jelly. No one likes the jelly, but they're more than the sum of their parts, you know? Like people. Go deep on a pork pie.
Oh, I don't know. I sausage rolls over pork pies all day, but
Oh, mate, yeah, if you can go Greg's sausage roll, actually, yeah. Greg's vegan sausage roll, they're boom. And then no creatures have to die. See? There we go. I changed my answer. For the
true.
sake of the planet, just in case this is ever referred to in a kind of like some kind of despotic future dystopia where an answer we've given actually determines the things that we have to eat for the rest of our lives. Vegan sausage roll.
It's a good shout. Yeah, they are good, to be fair. So that's a much better answer. I'll take that.
Yes.
But,
Thanks,
so
mate.
apart from that, man, that is pretty much everything done. Like, is there anything that you wanted to plug on the show at all?
No, not currently. People should just follow Adam Cameling on Instagram and Facebook, and then the new projects will be out really soon. And any other exciting things that might be in the pipeline with Cuth as well. So yeah, check out Adam and Cuth, that's Cuth, Cuth, on Spotify, and you can listen to the albums there and the EPs, and follow Adam Cameling, KAMMERLING, on Instagram and Facebook for new projects that are forthcoming and will be available to stream in all those places. So yeah, safe.
Perfect. Yeah, I've just followed you on Instagram, man, and I'll make sure I put the links in the description and stuff. But again, thank you very much for taking the time to come on, man. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you stay safe over there anyway, and hopefully get back to some projects very soon.
Yeah, mate. Nice one. Well, nice chatting to you, Lewis. Thanks for hollering.
No worries, man. Thank you for coming on. Stay safe, mate.
Be excellent. See ya.
Ta-ra. Bye-bye.
Bye.